Welcome to CBR. Were you told that the Thunderbolts are Marvel's version of the Suicide Squad? Well, that's not really the truth. Today, we are debunking 5 lies or misconceptions some fans have about this team and their upcoming movie. When Marvel Studios announced the making of a Thunderbolts movie, many fans argued that the premise was underwhelming because it resembles the plot of the Suicide Squad. And yes, the Suicide Squad from DC Comics and the Thunderbolts from Marvel Comics do have a few things in common that justify the comparison. Both the Thunderbolts and the Suicide Squad consist of characters with questionable morals who start out as villains or anti-heroes. But the common ground ends there. When we analyze the details, diving into how the teams are being portrayed in comics and on screen, it's clear they're not the same. The Suicide Squad is a team of incarcerated villains coerced into working for the government. They agree to carry out dangerous missions in exchange for some time deducted from their sentences, being essentially disposable to the ruthless Amanda Waller. Meanwhile, the Thunderbolts have a different origin in the comics. They started as villains posing as heroes in 1997 in a storyline where Baron Zemo makes his supervillain group Masters of Evil disguise as the Thunderbolts. However, the group soon turns against their leader and becomes a team of actual superheroes. The first Thunderbolts were former villains seeking redemption, and not villains seeking compensation like the Suicide Squad. The following versions of the Thunderbolts were even less comparable, consisting of anti-heroes instead of reformed villains. Unlike the Suicide Squad, whose members are forced into missions with threats and deals, most Thunderbolts team members join voluntarily. Some versions were controlled by villains like Norman Osborn and Wilson Fisk, but that was due to corruption. The team itself features morally ambiguous characters instead of villains. In the latest version of the team in Marvel Comics, the Thunderbolts leader is the Winter Soldier. He's not a villain working for the government. Bucky is a former assassin who worked under mind control and whose heart was never evil. The comics lineup includes Natasha Romanoff, Sharon Carter, Yelena Belova, Red Guardian, and U.S. Agent, highlighting espionage skills, but the movie lineup includes characters like Taskmaster and Ghost, who were antagonists in previous Marvel movies. Still, if we compare the Suicide Squad movie to what we know so far about Thunderbolts, there are key differences. Even Antonia Dreykov and Ava Starr are not as villainous as Harley Quinn, who is portrayed at a turning point in the DCU, but has a dark supervillain history. Taskmaster and Ghost are former villains in a similar way as the Winter Soldier is. They were never evil deep down. As we've seen in the latest trailer for Thunderbolts, Bucky recruits the team and Yelena says she's not a hero. Val proposes someone should fill the void left by the dissolution of the Avengers, and now the Thunderbolts fight the void. Characters like Yelena Belova or John Walker feel like they aren't heroes, not because they are supervillains forced to do good, but because they don't feel good enough to call themselves heroes. They are characters who dreamed of becoming heroes, but due to uncontrollable circumstances or terrible mistakes, ended up with a bad track record. If we compare Yelena to Harley Quinn specifically, the angles are incredibly contrasting. Yelena did hunt down Hawkeye, for example, but she has never willingly set out to do harm. Yelena is naturally an anti-hero, while Harley Quinn is a supervillain who eventually becomes anti-heroic. Their personalities and motivations are even more contrasting. Yelena is a sarcastic assassin who fights with precision using her extensive training in espionage and combat. She's initially driven by revenge, but now seeks purpose beyond being an assassin. Harley Quinn is the exact opposite. She's unpredictable, chaotic, and has an exaggerated sense of humor. She's primarily driven by self-preservation and fun, only doing what suits her and not caring about a deeper purpose. While some members of the Suicide Squad are portrayed as leaning towards redemption, the trailers for Thunderbolts indicate the upcoming Marvel team will be about proving themselves to be heroes from the start. One thing that will definitely prove the Thunderbolts are heroes is saving New York from an extremely powerful new character who's out of control. Some fans argue that Bob Reynolds, who's both the Sentry and the Void, is way too powerful to be the antagonist of the upcoming movie. Sentry is indeed one of Marvel's most powerful characters of all time, in terms of superpowers and abilities, but his biggest weakness is his fragile mental state, and it makes it harder for him to use his own powers intentionally. He rarely unleashes his full potential because he is afraid of the consequences. The Thunderbolts probably won't need to overpower him physically for the most part, but outthink or contain the dark part of him. The concern about how a team of assassins can fight the Sentry makes sense, but the Thunderbolts have dealt with superpowered people before in the comics. And there are several ways in which the inclusion of Bob Reynolds can work in the narrative. In the 2011 Thunderbolts comics, the team, which consisted of characters like Luke Cage and Ghost, had to fight Hyperion. While many fans mistake Sentry for being Marvel's version of DC's most iconic hero, it's actually Hyperion who most resembles Superman. And even so, the Thunderbolts were the team that killed Hyperion in Marvel Comics. We have no doubt that, with teamwork, the Thunderbolts will come up with a way to stop the Void in the movie. 3 team members have taken super soldier serums, 1 has phasing powers, and the other 2 are highly trained by the Red Room. They will be fine, don't worry. We already know that Thunderbolts will be about the team establishing themselves as a respectable lineup of superheroes. But many fans initially suspected that the asterisk had been added to the title because it would be in fact an Avengers movie, depicting the team's formation ahead of Avengers, Doomsday in 2026. Well, the latest trailer seems to debunk that far-fetched prediction. While Marvel could have made a fake working title, it's unlikely that they will be seen as Avengers, when there's a scene of Valentina directly referencing the need to replace the Avengers with another team. Could it be that they will change their name by the end of the movie? Yes, especially with Bucky and John expressing they dislike the name, and with the overall sentiment being that they don't feel heroic like the Avengers, it's more likely that they'll adopt a name that doesn't reference Earth's mightiest heroes. Another reason for adding an asterisk could be that the team members will change. According to what the trailer implies, Bucky recruits the team in this movie. But what if this specific team disbands by the end of it, and Bucky then needs to assemble a new one? Considering the film includes some characters nobody has missed much so far, it could kill off some of them. There is also the possibility that the asterisk is there simply as a marketing gimmick, meant to spark discussions like this one. It could be rooted in the members' discussion over the name, but ultimately don't mean anything deeper. Either way, we know they are not the Avengers, especially since the release of Captain America: Brave New World last week. In Sam Wilson's first Cap movie, the newly elected president asks him to assemble a new Avengers team. By the end, he's seriously considering it, and his dialogue with Joaquin Torres hints at both Captain America and the Falcon being on the team. It wouldn't make any sense for the Thunderbolts movie to undermine this setup from the Captain America franchise. If anything, it makes more sense for the Thunderbolts to no longer exist at the end of their movie. Characters like Bucky and Yelena could be recruited by Sam to join the Avengers. Bucky's addition to the Avengers would definitely make sense due to his bond with Sam Wilson, and it would be an excellent extension of his journey from Winter Soldier to hero. Similarly, Yelena could honor Natasha by serving a similar role on a new Avengers team. A temporary existence of the team would justify the asterisk, and it also could leave room open for a new version of the Thunderbolts to be formed in the future. In the comics, the Thunderbolts have had many different rosters, and the Thunderbolts could be similar, with many different anti-heroes serving as Thunderbolts on their road to redemption. Since we're talking about Bucky, Yelena, and the movie's marketing, let's address a common complaint about the promotional images and footage. Some fans are worried this movie won't give Bucky the development he deserves, which is understandable considering the character's long history in the MCU, and how he's never had a solo project. The marketing focuses on Yelena, with her being the narrator in the trailers. Scenes like the one where Bucky takes his vibranium arm out of the dishwasher had fans laughing, but also kind of concerned that Bucky would only be there for a few jokes. Bucky appears a little more in the latest trailer, but some fans still fear he will once again be included as a supporting character, continuing to have a slow development in the MCU. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier did give fans some insight as to how Bucky is dealing with returning to the United States. But when it comes to his internal struggles, the series never went beyond a couple of sessions with his psychiatrist. The series focuses more on Sam accepting the Captain America mantle. Well, according to comments made by Sebastian Stan and director Jake Schreier, Thunderbolts is actually shaping up to be Bucky's best character exploration since Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Jake Schreier has said the film will focus on mental health, but not just as a joke. This is huge because Bucky has one of the most complex psychological conflicts in the MCU. While Thunderbolts is indeed going to be a comedy superhero film, it will also explore the mental health of the team members in a thoughtful way, according to the director. Schreier said that he wants fans to come for the dishwasher jokes, but stay for the deep emotional journey when speaking to Empire magazine. The phrase hints at Bucky, in particular, getting some deeper development. Yelena will be a big part of the movie, But we think she has such prominence in the marketing material not only because she is important for the plot, but because highlighting only her keeps the others' journeys more mysterious.
Your subordinates will be reported to DoorDash HQ.
Alexei, it's me. Open up.
Since we are discussing the future of the main characters, who definitely are Bucky Barnes and Yelena Belova, it's also important to debunk a rumor about who dies in this movie. One of the most persistent rumors about the movie is that the entire Thunderbolts team dies by the end of the story. This theory gained traction after insiders' reports alleged that the first draft of the script featured the deaths of all members, and the ending remained the same in the final version. Marvel does take risks sometimes, but it's never so risky that it completely defies the bigger narrative of the franchise. Some members, like John Walker or Ava Starr, could die without raising too many complaints among fans and defying the MCU narrative too much. A character like Alexei could also be killed off for being both narratively unimportant and liked enough by the fans to spark an emotional response. But killing Bucky or Yelena doesn't make much sense. Bucky and Yelena in particular have been slowly developed for many years now and have always been headed towards becoming main characters and superheroes. Finally allowing them to be the main characters to instantly kill them off would be incredibly anticlimactic. If it's true that there was once a version of the script in which they all died, we are sure that idea has been scrapped, and at the very least, Bucky and Yelena survive in the end. And our opinion isn't solely based on our faith in the writers. Recently, Sebastian Stan himself made a comment that implied Bucky will survive whatever happens to him in the upcoming movie. In an October 2024 interview with GQ, Stan inadvertently fueled speculation about his character's fate when he expressed his desire to act opposite Robert Downey Jr. When asked about his hopes for Avengers Doomsday, the actor commented on how cool it will be to see Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom. He then confessed he would love it if Bucky had at least one scene with Doom in the movie. Maybe in a fight? How could the actor hope to appear in Avengers Doomsday if he knew Bucky died in Thunderbolts? This is probably not a misdirection by Marvel, considering they wouldn't go as far as teasing the inclusion of the Winter Soldier in Doomsday only to hide the spoiler that he dies in Thunderbolts. It's more likely that Stan got excited about Bucky's potential future in the MCU and shared too much. Stan's remarks are particularly significant because they align with the broader trajectory of his character. After years of grappling with his past as a brainwashed assassin for Hydra, Bucky has finally begun to make amends and find a sense of peace in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
And other than that, I just went from one fight to another for 90 years.
However, it's only now in Thunderbolts that he will get some sense of agency and no longer be depicted in the shadow of Captain America, killing him off immediately after this narrative growth. In a movie where he becomes a team leader would feel like a waste of the character's 14 years in the franchise. Bucky's journey from a brainwashed assassin to a redeemed hero has been one of the most compelling arcs in the MCU, and there is still much to explore in terms of how he moves forward with his life. Thunderbolts needs to be just the beginning of a new chapter for him. Killing off the entire Thunderbolts team would not only eliminate a group of fascinating characters too soon, but also deprive the MCU of a unique dynamic between an old-school MCU character like Bucky and a new generation of characters like John Walker and Yelena. Since they will not be dead by the end, the Thunderbolts could join forces with the Avengers to face Dr. Doom in Avengers Doomsday. With a morally ambiguous approach to the problem, the Thunderbolts may represent an important balance to the Avengers' righteousness. We may even see Bucky and Sam Wilson's friendship being tested as the team leaders discuss how to deal with Doom. Marvel Studios would never waste such narrative potential by killing off the characters too soon.
I'll have you know I was actually the official Captain America, so...
Yeah, for like 2 seconds.
Now we want to hear from you. Did you believe any of these lies and rumors? What else would you like to know about the Thunderbolts and their upcoming film? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, thanks for watching CBR.